of the hay wagon's sitting a little bit a little bit low there. Oh well, I think it'll be alright. Doesn't feel like it's gonna flip over or anything. Alright, so the post driver quit driving. Not entirely sure what the problem is with it. Using it to put in a few posts or something, and then it wouldn't go any further. I was kind of looking in there when we first had the issues, and it sort of looked like there's two roller chains that have a little bar that go in between it, and that bar is what catches on the weight and is what lifts that up, and then once that kind of goes up over the top, it releases the weight, and then that weight drops down, and then that bar comes back around, catches it, lifts it up, and then it does something like that. It looks like one of those roller chains is a little bit loose and one of them looks fairly tight. So that may have something to do with it, but I'm gonna work on popping these little plates off from the bottom here, seeing if we can see anything. Try not to lose any parts. Well, yeah, that's Alright, so I think you can see in there that the chain on the right has a lot of slack in it. And I think, maybe, if I can zoom it in here, I'm getting a bunch of glare, that the chain on the left is pretty tight. Now you may have noticed that the sun is just in the wrong spot. That's what you may have noticed. But on this side, this chain, maybe you can see, is kind of up here a little bit higher. It's not sitting down into that sprocket tooth there. So I think it may have gotten jammed up on top of that sprocket tooth there. And if we can maybe just kind of give that little tappity tap with the hammer, that might solve the problem right there. It's getting better. I don't want to hit it too much. I don't want to mess the roller chain up, but Alright, so now that I've got this thing disassembled and you can kind of see in here, I'm going to try to explain a little bit better on how this thing works. So this little tab that's sticking up here, this is actually part of the weight that slides up and down in the tube of the post driver. This is what's essentially driving your post into the ground. Now when the bar comes around here, it can catch on that tab, and then that lifts it up the tube, and then once it kind of circles around over the top of the upper sprockets, that releases from that tab, weight drops down the tube and pushes your post into the ground. Now as you can see, with it laying on the hay wagon here, it's actually not catching on the weight, and this is sort of a safety feature that they built into the post driver to keep it from being able to dry fire, so to speak. So that way, unless it's actually on a post, it's not going to be able to lift that weight up. And what happens is when you push the post driver down on top of a post, you're kind of resting on a top there. The top of the post will lift that weight up a few inches, and then once that goes up a few inches, then it's high enough that that bar is actually able to catch onto the tab on the weight, and then it'll lift it up. But unless there's a post in there pushing it up there, the weight isn't up high enough that the tab catches, and it's not going to be able to cycle that weight. I think we're good to go. I think it just gotten jammed up in there. It was stuck in between there, and it didn't have enough juice to make it go one way or the other to get it loosened up. I think that looks about the same as it was before. Maybe a little bit more on that one. A couple more Ugga Duggas. I think that looks good.